Hello and welcome back, Cardboard Crack fans. And today we're dealing with March of the Machine, but after March of the Machine, which is why it's called March of the Machine Aftermath. So clearly, Wizards decided that they needed more money. So they came out with these quote-unquote epilogue packs, which is basically like a extremely small set. So a regular set usually contains anywhere between 190 something to even 300 cards. No, not anymore. This one contains 50. That's right, 50 cards. A whole 50 new cards for us. And yes, that is all the cards in this set are new. There are, well, I mean, there's a few reprints, but pretty much they're all new cards that are available. And yes, it's part of Standard as far as I'm aware. And it's supposed to be a lore-driven set, but we'll see how it goes. So, once again, this is a collected booster, which means that we should get some interesting pulls. And unlike a regular pack, and even unlike a regular collected boosters pack, this contains a whole 6 cards. So, that's right. We've got a whole 6 cards to utilize. So, let's get cracking. Now, these were printed in Japan, I'm guessing, because the last ones were. They were incredibly easy to open. So, yeah, just about the same. Now, since there's only 50 cards, that's one reason why there's so few cards in the pack. But yeah, there's more rares than there are uncommons, so we're likely to get a whole bunch. And I'm hoping for some mythics. There isn't anything in particular I'm really after, but I would like some of the mythics because they all look cool. Cosmic Rebirth. 2 in the same pack. That's lovely. So we've got the alternate art, which looks kind of nice, and then we've got the sort of embossed one, which is fine. Tazri, which isn't bad. It's just weird that it cares about mana dorks. Open the Way. Now, I'm really glad that they finally made, or that they basically said that Nissa and Chandra are actually a couple. What I am sad is that Nissa no longer has her spark, but Chandra does, which basically means that Nissa is like left at home doing whatever while Chandra is off gallivanting around the universe, because apparently she's the only pyromancer left in the multiverse for some reason. I don't know. And we have Narset, Enlightened Exile, in the alternate art, which is actually a mythic. Yeah, the art's kind of nice. I don't know how to feel about the whole sort of Khan's border. Like, I get that it's dragon, but it's black and white, which is meh, but it looks like a sketch, which is cool. But I'm kind of torn. Like, it works for some cards, it doesn't work for some. This one, personally, I think it doesn't quite work. Like, Zergo from March of the Machine worked a bit better. This one gives creatures you control have prowess, which is awesome. And whenever Narset attacks, exile target non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard, copy it, and you can cast a copy without paying its mana cost, which is fine. But story, since you're on a channel called Vorthos Tribal, let's talk about the story for a little bit. So it's kind of weird, and I'm not sure if her stories come out at this point, but Narset basically lost her spark, basically was considered one of the most promising students on Takea. Then Sarkhan sort of retconned everything, which made her a planeswalker because she did a whole House of M thing, Wolverine House of M, where she remembered the alternate timeline and became a planeswalker, and then they had her in a couple of sets, and now they're like, no, we're going to rip away your spark and you're exiled on your own home plane, which we don't know what to do with. So it's like, they done Narset dirty. I'm not the biggest Narset fan, but I still feel like they've done her dirty. And Nahiri, okay, she's expensive, but she's got affinity for equipment, and she's got a couple other things, which is all about equipment, which is kind of nice, and it's kind of on par for Nahiri. My problem with Nahiri is her story, which is basically she magically got better from phoresis, and then went to reclaim her spark because she pulled it out before phoresis to keep it safe, or something like that. And as a result, when she tried to do it, she was interrupted, ended up exploding her own spark, losing it, and now she's on some kind of vendetta against the multiverse because planeswalkers, and she thinks all planeswalkers are evil, or along the lines of, if I can't planeswalk, then no one can. It's sort of weird. Oh yeah, and we have a nice little shiny Phyrexian Incubator token. Like, it sort of feels a bit disjointed because they've suddenly depowered all these planeswalkers, and then they're like, well, we just want to sideline them now. And it's like, but they're all important. Oh gosh, this is hard. They're all important characters, so you can't just like sweep them under the rug. But that's what they're doing. They are House of Emming. This is the House of M. For those of you who don't know, basically Marvel at a point in time were like, we have way too many mutants and we can't keep track of them all, but the fans are. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this big thing and do a soft reboot and basically make it so 1/10 of the current mutant population are mutants and the rest get turned back into human. And that was it. And this is basically that. Wizards have decided there's too many planeswalkers, so we're just going to hit the reset button, despark as many as we can. Like Kiora, they didn't know what the hell to do with Kiora, so they just desparked her. And I mean, it makes sense, but it also feels like they've done Kiora dirty. Actually, it feels like they did most of the desparkings dirty. Like, Khan loses his spark again. Like, it's how many times? On a Snubhorn, some people, like, this is the alternate art for the Ixalan, and it's like, yeah, I can get why some people get annoyed by it, because it really does look like an artifact, but at the same time, it's okay. I'm down with it. I'm down with the sickness. Undercity Upheaval, it's not bad. It's just I've never been a big fan of the undergrowth mechanic. It works in some decks, but more often than not, you don't get as much out of it as you're hoping. Oh hey, Khan, Legacy Reforged. So he had a spark, then he lost the spark, then he was given a spark, and then he lost the spark. What to do now? He's fine. He cares more about artifacts than he did previously. And he was the artifact one, so it's like, yeah. Niv Mizzet Supreme. Because dying once wasn't enough. Yeah, it's just Niv Mizzet. And this is one of the ones that was spoiled, so, yeah. Okay. I will level with you. I have not seen this art for Vesuvian Drifter, and I like it. It's like, look, it's the art that they gave. It's the stained glass art, but somehow it works really well, especially when you see the actual cut of Vesuvian Drifter. I kind of like it. The card itself it's clone. It's a clone card. It's fine. Oh hey, Leyline Immersion. Not a bad card. Not necessarily a good card. Enchant legendary creature. Enchanted creature has ward 2, which is nice. And tap add 5 mana in any combination of colours. Spend this mana only to cast spells. It's like, oh, okay, sure. That's fine. Not a bad card. It's not a terribly useful card, but it's not a bad one. Now, since we actually don't have much to go through, this means that it should be relatively quick so long as I don't spend so much time struggling to open the packs, which, oddly enough, is proving to be more trouble than it's worth. Ooh, the alternate art of Death Rattle Oni. I kind of like it. The card itself, meh. Campus Renovation. I literally have no thoughts on Campus Renovation. Return up to 1 target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. It does what New Boros does best, which is which is like sort of recursion, but for artifacts and enchantments, or mainly artifacts. And I mean, it literally is middle of the road. There's really no thoughts. Metropolis Reformer. It is Flying Vigilance. The controller has hexproof, and whenever Metropolis Reformer is dealt damage, you gain that much life. So it's like a pseudo lifelink. Like, I mean, I say pseudo lifelink in that if you find a way to burn it, or if someone burns it, then you gain life, which is pretty cool, but it's like, again, it's okay. I mean, this feels like a middling rare from another set. This is, another Nihiri. This time, borderless. Oh, look at that. Old bordered Nissa Resurgent Animist. It's a 3-drop 3/3 elf scout, which means it goes well in elves, because elves like other elves. And it has landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any colour. So, just like Lotus Cobra. Then if this is the second time it is resolved this turn, reveal cards from the top until you reveal an elf or elemental card. So again, it really likes elves. Put that card on into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So basically, you want to be dropping 2 lands per turn and have an elf and or elemental deck. So it would actually go well as a commander, but definitely I would think much better as one of the 99. Drannith Ruins, the 1 land in this set, which is tap, add colorless, and put 2+1/+1 counters on target non-human creature that entered the battlefield this turn. It's fine. There's another land that does something similar, which is put a +1/+1 counter on target creature that entered the battlefield this turn. I can't remember what it is. It's a green one. And yes, it's a land. I think Oran Reef the Vastwood or something. But it's fine. A lot of people are really spinning out about it. I think it's fine. I don't think it's anything to like rush home and buy it, but it definitely works in a number of decks. Like, I have an Eldrazi deck, that would go in that. That would do really well in a Sliver deck. But in other decks, I mean, I suppose what holds it back is the colorless, or the fact that it's two to tap for a non-creature. Campus Renovation. Again, the card is middling, but the art, I do like the art. When it first came out, I wasn't a big fan of the the Mystical Archive art, but a friend of mine's a big fan of it, and I've slowly come around to it. Some of them work, some of them don't. This works, I feel. Like, it looks really nice. On a Snubhorn, same as last time, only not as in the cool art, so but Arnie Metalbrow. Oh, he does have the second one. Okay. So, he was first introduced in Kaldheim, where he headbutted, I believe, an ogre or troll which is how he got a horn stuck in his head. And so he was Arnie Bonebrow or something. And now he headbutted a Phyrexian, so he's got Phyrexian horn stuck in his head now. So that's awesome. The card itself is pretty good, but I'm just loving the fact that he's got 2 horns stuck in his head now. And he's like, oh, should have seen the horns on this guy. Fucking bumped his head and snapped off. Should have seen him though. He was dead. Oh, 2 Arnie. Because double the horns, double the value. Okay. Ooh! So this is the Halo foil. And I kind of sounded like Homer there, so I apologize. But, ooh! Training Grounds. This is a reprint. It's been around for a while. It's hard. I haven't really seen it being used except for in Commander in a few decks. But the alternate art looks nice, and the Halo foiling sort of makes it stand out a bit. Kind of cool. And Jor-El, Voice of Zalfir, which is now an actual plane. I mean, it was part of Dominaria before, and now it's its own plane because reasons. I don't really want to get into it, but basically, for some reason, yeah. It's like they didn't, because it seems like Wizards decided that they didn't really want to get rid of the Phyrexians, but they couldn't have the Phyrexians stick around, so they basically did a, they did an Emrakul, so they trapped it somewhere where it technically could never escape from, but it may escape, we don't know. But yeah, so they're currently in the void where Zalfir was, and Zalfir is now where Mirrodin was, and now has 5 suns orbiting it, because that won't screw with the ley lines at all. Cosmic Rebirth in the Halo foiling, which the camera isn't picking up really well. But that's it. Looks kind of cool. Reckless Handling, the actual art. It's basically her. So the actual art is basically her trying to reclaim her spark and it blowing up in her face, which is kind of funny, but it just means that she's going to be that much more angry when she's revealed as the next villain, because that's what will happen. Deification. Alright. Why am I saying alright so many times? Because I have things about this. So, this doesn't look like a very good card. But I have a feeling that this will be one of those cards that just does really well in certain decks for Commander. Like, okay, so you enter the battlefield, choose a Planeswalker type. Planeswalkers you control of the chosen type have hexproof. As long as you control a creature, if damage dealt to a Planeswalker you control or any of the chosen type would result in all loyalty counters being removed, instead remove all but one of those counters. So basically, if you were to be very thematic about it, you would play it and you would say Elspeth. From then on, whenever Elspeth would die, due to someone attacking it, basically they don't. So you just keep +1ing. It's actually kind of cool and nice, but I can see why people are like, ugh. But I think it's one of those cards that will sort of like sleep for a bit, and then it will come out in something like a Teferi deck, where they'll just go play it and then go Teferi, and then all the Teferis will just sit back and laugh as you get so many turns. Sigarda, Font of Blessings, does what Sigarda does best, which is other permanents you control have hexproof, look at top, and then cares about angels and humans. I would really like to get this in Halo foiling because I think it would look awesome. Because apparently, as part of the fallout from Might of the Machine, she managed to take some of the halo with her to Innistrad, which means that so before on Innistrad, the vampires, the vampires, werewolves, and zombies, usually in that order, and then everything else, and then humans, were sort of running the plane. But now with Halo, it sort of means that the humans can fight a bit, which means that humans might come back as a better archetype, rather than what happened to them in Midnight Hunt and Vow, which was basically humans exist, but we don't care about them. Danitha Benali's New Light. Cheap commander. Another Tazri Stalwart Survivor. And another Phyrexian Incubator. Ugh. There we go. It was bound to give 1 year. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but 1 year. Markov Baron. It's a lord that, yeah. What do you want me to say? It is Convoke for a 3-drop, okay? It is Lifelink. Cool, it's a vampire. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. Cool, it's a vampire lord. It is Madness of the same cost. Cool, so if you discard it, you can pay its regular cost to cast it. Cool. I have nothing. Beast of Victoria's Dead. I actually like this card. It's one of those cards that I really like. Like, not Patriarch's Blessing. I etched something. Etched to the Chosen, I think it is. Like, I really like these cards. There is no viable deck. I mean, you can have them, but there are better choices. Like, at the beginning of your end step, if one or more creatures died this turn, you gain that much life and distribute that many +1/+1 counters amongst creatures you control. It's a good card. And it's only 2, and it's an enchantment. It's a good card. It's just very niche and not particularly usable. But I like it. This is the kind of card where I look at it and I go, I'm definitely squirreling you away for some random deck that probably doesn't need it, but I'll stick you in there because I think you're a good card. Plug and Nasari. So, 2 of the teachers from Strixhaven have teamed up together to be mono red because, yeah. At the beginning of upkeep, each player exiles the top card of their library until they exile a non-land. An opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells. Yeah, it basically is like, cool. Spark Rupture! So what happened is the dev team looked at War of the Spark and went, we have this thing called Elder Spell. How can we do the same thing but different? So they came up with Spark Rupture, which is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw, and each planeswalker with 1 or more loyalty counters on it, so basically an alive planeswalker, loses all abilities and is a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of loyalty counters on it. So, huzzah! And it's like, cool. It's Planeswalker semi-removal, but why and how and as for why they lose their sparks, it's got something like, it's not particularly made clear, but I believe it's got something to do with closing the omen holes or omen paths that were created by the Realm Breaker, but not at the same time. It's apparently the universe decided, not screw it. Anyway, that's their House of M. Ooh, alternate art deification. Elspeth in the stars, as she is wont to be because she deserves to be there. I quite like it. Ayara's Oathsworn, which is going to be interesting considering that Ayara was Phyrexianized, but as we've found out from Aftermath, it means nothing because she probably just got better. One of those things where, you need to like do this and there's no coming back from it. It's pretty much a death sentence to, they got better. As for the actual card, it's fine. It does what all the Eldraine Knights do. It sits around, it does a thing, and then everyone just sort of stares at it and go, well, at least it's a knight. Goldforge Thopteryx. So I don't know if I have an actual one, but when we do, I didn't realize it at the time until I read the flavor text of the Goldforge Thopteryx. But it tears me up because according to the flavor text, so Hutley and Salihi Rai were dating and had been a couple for quite a while. And apparently now they're separated because Hutley is now on Ixalan and Saheeli is on Kaladesh. And Hutley has lost her spark. And I believe Saheeli has also lost her spark. So there's literally... So they were dating for a while and then they're literally been doing the whole long distance thing. Except for they can't really communicate through different realms. And it's kind of sad. Blot Out, which has a great name for a Strixhaven, except for it's referring to, or the card itself is referring to Kamigawa. As for what it does, target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker with the greatest mana. It's exile. It's what is it? Soul something, not Soul Partition. Soul Shatter, but exile instead of sacrifice. Okay. Nahiri's Resolve. Enchantment, creatures you control get +1/+0 and have haste. Cool. At the beginning of your end step, exile any number of token artifacts and/or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So basically, you exile non-tokens, you flicker non-tokens. I mean, it works for red and some white, but these colors more often than not are recursion. So, okay, that's a bit odd. Denitha, yep. Alternate art plug and Nasari. See, now that looks kind of cool. That I kind of like. I also like how on the outside it's almost a bit like now people outside of Australia would probably call them Native Australians, but here they're also known as First Peoples. So it looks vaguely like First Peoples art, which I actually think is really cool. And I'm still angling for an Australian set which focuses on the First Peoples, which I think would be cool and have been designing for a while. Sarkhan Solar Flame. Decent card. Like always, cares about dragons a lot to the point where it probably shouldn't. But definitely an inclusive of one of the 99s for dragons. More often than not, though, the red blue is a bit limiting for dragons now, because they tend to be in Temur colors and a few others. So, just quickly speeding along, because since I'm pretty sure we've pretty much gone through all the 99, Oh, sorry, all the 50 cards that are available. Oh, no, we haven't. Filter out. It's fine. It's 3-drop to bounce everything. It's fine. No flavor text, so I can't read it out to you. Ayara's Oathsworn again. Spark Rupture. Still fine. Ooh! Leyline Immersion, but this time in the old art. Or alternate art, old style border. I like it. That's cool. Arnie Metal Brow again. See, going a bit faster now that we have basically seen everything. Animus Might. Okay. Every single time I say that something, the packs contradict me. Alright. Cost 2 less to target a legendary creature I control, and target creature you control deals damage equal to twice its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Basically, it sort of fights them. It's fine. Green doesn't really need more fight, but it's not going to say no to it either. Coppercoat Vanguard. Boring as all get out. 2-drop, 2/2, other humans you control get +1/+0 and ward 1. Boring. Tranquil Frillback is the one that everyone's going nuts over, and it's understandable because it's a 3-drop 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay 1 green up to 3 times. When you do, you get to choose any of these. So in other words, you can destroy target artifact or enchantment, exile target player's graveyard, or you gain 4 life. So in other words, you can pay 6 to have a 3/3 that then destroys 3 target artifacts or enchantments, or any combination thereof. So that's pretty cool. I can sort of understand why people really like it. Plague and Nasari. Niv Mizzet Supreme. I kind of like the art for this. I feel like the cityscape as the border gets in the way of things a bit, but I'm willing to forgive it because it's not as intrusive as it could have been. Pia Nala, Consul of Revival. Thopters, again, they care about Thopters and creating Thopters. I mean, what else has Pia done other than care about Thopters and create Thopters? And apparently they're still going at it. Oof. Teferi's Talent, which is the only one of the talents that gets a emblem for some reason. Ooh! Reckless Handling, but this time in Halo. Nice. Colligan Warmonger. Does what all the Colligans do. It's got haste. When it attacks, look at top 6. You can reveal a dragon, put it to your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Another Jor-El. Another Leyline Immersion. Tranquil Frillback, only this time in the alternate art. Another Spark Rupture. And First Mate Ragavan. Yay, because everyone loves Monkey. Well, I say that, but ultimately the only one who loves the Monkey is Modern. And everyone else just sort of is like, yeah, he's cool, but we have better options. Another Colligan Warmonger. Talarian Contempt, which is not a terrible card, it's just not as good as I first thought. So when it enters the battlefield, you can put a rejection counter on each creature an opponent controls. At the beginning of your end step for each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature they control with a rejection counter on it, and they put it on the top or bottom of their library. So I thought it was kind of like blue removal, but no, it enters play, puts a counter on one thing of each player, and then that's it. Like, unless you can keep flickering it, it doesn't really do that much, especially for 5. Another Spark Rupture. Keep nicking the... Rebuild the City. Choose target land, create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in addition to other types, and they have visual and some menace. I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of funny for Jund Ramp, but I think it's kind of cool. Ooh, Halo. Dranath Ruins. Okay, the alternate art of this is pretty cool. Halo's kind of nice. Another rebuild the city. And there we go. And lucky last, but certainly not least. Well, actually, it is least because it's the lucky last, which apparently just doesn't want to open, so I have to tear at it. Like the evil monkey man that I am. Lot out in the alternate art. Looks kind of cool. Death Rattle Oni is fine. Leyline Immersion, which is nice. Rebuild the city. Nashi, Moon's Legacy. Kind of like the anime art, but at the same time, the card I do not like. He's the kind of card that people are going to try forever to make work, and it's just not going to work. Why? Because it's Rat Tribal in black, green, blue. All rats are black. There is no... I think there might be one that's not black, but pretty much they're all black. I think... I know there's a couple that are black-blue, but the green, I'm 99.99% sure that there are no green rats. So it's like... Okay, it is Menace, Ward 1. Whenever it attacks, exile 1 target legendary or rat card from your graveyard, copy it, and you can cast the copy. It basically gets rats back. I mean, yes, you can have it for legendary matters, but why would you? All the rats sort of feed off each other, so it's more built for rat tribal. It's... Ugh. And the regular art for Vesuvian Drifter. And that is the end of that. So as for the pulls, not bad. I'm glad I got some Halos. Unfortunately, we didn't pull any serialized cards, so rats. But we got some decent Planeswalkers, and the set itself overall is, yeah. So honestly, if you're angling to get them, honestly, I'd say create a list and go to your local game store and just buy the cards individually. Like most people have pointed out, there's no real reason to buy a box or anything. But I bought a box and I thought I would open it for you all. Well, thanks for joining me and hope to see you next time.